And we are live. How you doing, guys? Welcome to
Hello.
another Carnivore Live. Amanda, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
It's awesome to catch up. I think was it December when we spoke last?
Probably I'm very bad with time, so somewhere around there.
Yeah. Um, so I've been keeping up with what's been going on your channel, but I do have a couple of questions for you before we get started with questions from everyone else.
Yeah.
And so just want to say though, just as people are getting logged in, um, let us know where you're coming in from in the live stream. And also, if you've got questions for us, we're more than happy to take questions. But please, my eyes are not as good as they once were. Please put a Q in front of your questions, and they'll help us find them. Um, and of course, if you haven't already, please do us a massive favor, smash like, and whoever's channel you're watching from, please subscribe. One of the great things about smashing like on a live stream is that you instantly give YouTube feedback that YouTube is going to use to go out and look for more people to get into the live stream. So it helps everyone if we have more people in. So, Amanda, quick question for you. What's the biggest thing that has improved for you over the last, what is it, 7 months since we last spoke? What's
The
the biggest kind of,
one thing,
yeah, scale or non-scale victory you've had?
um, being able to hike 8 miles, that probably is the biggest thing. Just the physicalness, being able to move around. And you know what? I can boil it down to one statement. Not worrying about having to go somewhere where I'm going to sit, or if I sit in a chair, if I'm going to break it. Honestly, that's probably a big.
Nice. Um, I think we spoke kind of about stuff like this when we talked in December. It was like those those things that probably you don't count as big victories in the grand scheme of things. Like it's not 100 pounds off. It's not no longer having joint pain or whatever. But
Yeah.
the peace of mind about things like that you can just kind of go about your day as normal is amazing, right?
It is, how do I say this? Unless you've been there, it's hard to wrap the mind around, but it is all consuming. So a lot of people would say, oh, 100 pounds is definitely more of a victory than just not thinking about breaking things. But honestly, I think it's more because the amount of times I stopped myself. We went to a music festival the other last weekend. Anyways, when we lived in Phoenix, I bought these expensive tickets to go listen to some classical music because I'm like, I'm going to lose weight. Well, that was like 3 or 4 years ago. And I didn't. So we didn't go. Like, it literally is such a limiting part of someone that's obese or morbidly obese life. It is crazy how much that consumes your mind. You go to visit a friend's house. Am I going to break the chair? Like, how embarrassing would that be? Am I going to fit into the booth? Those kinds of things, they're all consuming, honestly.
Mm. Yeah, it's those little things just really they all add up, right? And that's another thing about carnivore. Um,
Mhm.
it's all those things that happen over time, and it just ends up adding up to this massive mountain of improvements.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
So one of the things I was reminded of yesterday was that one of the one of those small things for me, and one of the best things for me that has improved, is not having to think about food anymore. Um, it was such an all-consuming part of my life. You'd go from breakfast and then you'd be thinking, what's the morning snack? And then after the morning snack, what's for lunch? And "Oh, I can't have that lunch again. What am I going to have instead?" Then it's the afternoon snack, and it just goes on and on and on. And
Yep.
you never stop thinking about it. And, you know, there's a lot of benefits, but one of the biggest things is you suddenly become more productive when you're not thinking about food all the time.
So productive. We don't
It's
even, not
amazing.
until you go through it do you realize how much your brain was consumed about food, like just thinking
Mm,
about it.
yeah. And then you're suddenly like, now that you aren't thinking about that, suddenly you're running around and doing things, and people are looking at you like, how have you suddenly got the ability to get so much stuff done?
Yeah.
But yeah. So we've got our first question come through, and the question has come through from Dawn Mertz. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Apologies if I'm not. Have you struggled with oxalate dumping? I think I'm after being on Carnivore for 20 days, then BBBE for 15. So I personally don't think I've experienced this. How about you, Amanda?
Um, yes, but here's the thing. In the beginning, I was so sick and ill, and with the autoimmune, the diabetes, all that, it was hard to tell where one thing stopped and another started. And I wasn't able to really isolate it just because I had so much stuff going on. But I imagine just from all the junk and crud that I ate throughout the years, I've heard people mention that with the oxalate dumping, it works well if you add a little bit of veg back in temporarily and then wean back down off of it. It can slow the oxalate dumping down. But I'm definitely not be the expert to ask for this.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I have heard like the to deal with the issues that you're having, the easiest way seems to be to kind of, maybe take a step back and then go a little bit more slowly in your transition in. And yeah, so I hope that helps, Dawn, and I hope this gets gets finalized, or you can get out over this as quickly as possible. So Jennifer's asking, what is BBBE? So um, it's I think it's bananas, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and eggplant. Is that right?
It's something that I think Dr. Berry and them kind of started, which is beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. People do it to try to narrow down the food groups that they're eating. Some people who get stalled, they like to use that too for helping with weight loss. And then just trying to be, I shouldn't say strict, but trying to just, as I said, narrow their food groups down.
Hmm. Yes, and I should clarify. I had heard of it before. I was just being just
He
trying
was
to
just
do
pulling
one
your
of my
leg.
dad jokes. Yeah. So Bella says Sally K. Norton, check her out for oxalate dumping. Yeah,
There you go.
good recommendation. Okay, what do we got here? Uncle Big Guy. Howdy, Amanda. It's been a joy watching your journey and giving me some inspiration.
Oh, well, thank you. And
Nice.
hello. Glad to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it really has, like, watching one of your original videos, Amanda, it's just like watching a different person. It's
Hmm.
it's amazing. Yeah.
I did a short or something like that. Actually, the first time I had someone make a comment like this, they're like, that's not the same person. I'm like,
Mm.
oh, but it is.
You just hired an actor to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, oh, my chat window's jumping. Okay, yeah, and Rick says also it's amazing how Amanda's changed in the last year. Nice. Okay. Hello, Matthew. Both looking great. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. So, and Dawn's got a reply. Okay, I've seen the videos about oxalate dumping, dark chocolate, potatoes, Brussels sprouts once in a while. Going to be my backup choice.
Dark chocolate.
Okay, nice. All right, and Mark, Mark, a reference to Rick, I guess, mustn't leave out iguana. So,
Hey,
have you ever tried iguana, Amanda?
I had iguanas as pets growing up. So, no, I have not eaten iguana.
Oh,
Have
okay.
you?
No, I haven't. I'm gonna have to try it. That might be the first thing I do when I do my first visit to Florida is rock up to Rick's house and ask him to cook me an iguana. So, so they have eggs as well, right? Do they lay eggs? No?
I don't
Is
know.
there such a
I
thing as
I
iguana eggs? You had
I
boy
don't know.
iguanas, maybe?
Now that you say it, I feel like I'm gonna have to go Google this because I had all my siblings and I had iguanas growing up, but like they never had any babies.
So,
So,
so where did you live having iguanas? Like,
oh,
I've never understood this to be a common thing.
okay. I grew up in Las Vegas.
Right. Oh, okay.
So,
And they like there's just a lot of iguanas there because they like dry heat
no,
or something, or no?
no. We had a tortoise, and then I don't know how we got started on iguanas, but go to the pet store, get yourself a tiny little iguana, and they grow and grow and grow. We used
Ah,
to put them
okay.
in the pool. Probably now that I look back, not a great idea because it had chlorine in it, but
Did that didn't bleach them or anything? They didn't come out of
no,
there like a light green? No.
they did not. They did not. They loved it there. The heat, they loved. Oh
Ah,
my gosh, they
okay.
loved the heat from the desert, though.
Nice. Oh, interesting. I need to do more iguana research. Um, okay, so we've got a question here from Christy. What are your simple go-to meals, Amanda?
Uh, ribeye, chicken wings. My absolute that's like my go-to. I have that once a week. It's like my treat meal. Chicken wings with homemade buffalo sauce. We like doing inside out burgers. I just kind of like discovered this recently, and I love those. What else? We do, which I'm not great about, but we like doing beef sausages. Costco has them. They're delicious. That's our too lazy to cook. For breakfast, I eat 2 eggs over medium with bacon every single day, despite not liking eggs. But those are my easy, like go to simple. I'm going to be honest, the more simple you can make this diet, the easier it is.
Mm. That's a good point. I think one of the things that makes it so easy to stick to for me is it's just I keep it super simple. Just eat the
Oh, yeah.
same thing every day, and yeah,
I can do
and
similar things, but not the same exact second meal. First meal, I don't care about.
yeah. Okay, yeah. The first meal is like what your regular breakfast would have been, where you're eating your cornflakes every day or something like that. Kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Uh,
I do the eggs because they're healthy and I found eating twice a day. So eating, around 10 o'clock in the morning because we work from home and then eating around 5 o'clock. Those are my meal times. I eat the eggs because they're healthy. I actually really don't like eggs at all, but food is nutrients. It doesn't, my second meal is always usually the good meal, like steak or burgers or something.
okay. Um, So Carnivore Ron says, congratulations to both of you for choosing good health. Thank you very
Thanks,
much, Ron.
Ron.
Cheers. And Rick confirms that yes, iguanas lay eggs.
There we go.
He has eaten many iguana eggs.
Okay. Do they taste
Yeah.
like chicken? I'm curious.
Yeah. It's also, a good question. Everything that's kind of a non-steak or pork kind of dish is like, must taste like chicken. Have you ever had alligator?
I haven't, but I heard it's good.
Yeah, I've had crocodile, and I guess they taste pretty much the same, and that tastes basically like chicken.
I'm I'm not very like my brother-in-law's had like Rocky Mountain oysters and stuff, and I'm just like, not
Uh,
that adventurous. I know what I like. I'm willing to try things, but I'm definitely not going on my way to order it.
yeah, I I know what that is. I used to work with an American guy that taught me what a Rocky Mountain oyster is. Okay. Um, all right. MoneyMax says, "Hello, Belle. I mean Dave and Amanda. I assume Belle is Pop Tart shopping. Yes, she's out at the moment. If you happen to see any of her hair lying to the side, just ignore that. Um, so let's have a look. Karen says, I remember watching you both when you first started, and you both are doing amazingly well, and it gives me a lot of hope. Thank you so
Oh,
much. That's a
sweet of you.
nice thing to say, Karen. Um, And Just Me says, love Dave's dry humor, and Amanda has changed so much. Mind blown. So inspirational. Thanks to all of you for being so inspirational. Thank you for the nice message. Oh, we've got more iguana comments coming through. Monica says, iguanas lay eggs even when they are not fertile. In fact, females will lay about 20 to 70 eggs per year once they reach sexual maturity. Oh, wow.
That's interesting.
Okay. Yeah. Oh my goodness. My son shoots them out of trees with arrows. Oh
Can't
my
say much.
goodness.
One of my dogs is from the Cayman Islands, and iguana probably was her like main meal. Is she'd eat iguanas because they are like rampant there.
Ah, okay. Oh, and Bella very kindly has sent us a super chat. Thank you, Bella. This is to go towards getting Dave to the States for a meetup. You both are looking fantastic. Thank you so much, Bella. Question: How hard to put on muscle for you to gender differences? From my side, it's been insanely easy. It like I it started coming on without me even trying. It's accelerated, of course, with trying, but and I always, when I think about it, I go back to something I heard Dr. Chafee say a month or so ago, and that was that when you're on carnivore, when the muscle just seems to come on, and you also don't have to worry about it losing it. It just it sticks. How about you, Amanda?
Quickly, actually. We've been doing the gym pretty regularly, and last time I did leg day, or yeah, today was leg day. How funny. Last time I did leg day, I was doing a 240-pound leg squat or leg press. And then today, just between then and now, I do 260, which is more than what I actually weigh. So it's much easier. And even my husband, who's tall and skinny, he has been, because he does carnivore with me, his has been increasing. He's like, he was very doubtful as he was increasing the plates in there. He's like, I don't think I should be doing this fast. I'm like, well, take it. Why complain about getting stronger?
Nice. And so, what's his experience been like with it? With carnivore overall?
Yeah. Scott lost 28 pounds total, and his testosterone went from 250 to over 650. And the
Wow.
only single thing we changed was his diet. We were actually looking at him possibly having to take exogenous testosterone. So, either the cream or the injections and whatnot. And we wanted to check it beforehand, and boom, turns out it's actually higher than 2/3 of the men his age. And he's done excellent. He loves it for the simplicity. Because in our house, he grills, I clean. Like that, we've switched roles. I used to cook all the time. Now he does the cooking, the grilling, and I clean up the kitchen. And yeah, we love it.
Oh, nice. And that change, was that because you just thought, okay, well, it's time, in a democracy, we should kind of flip things occasionally, or was it just I prefer doing this kind of thing? Or
no, I love my husband. He is not a cook. He grew up like I think he calls it a latchkey kid. But when we started dating, the big running joke between us was he was always going on a date with Marie calendars for dinner. Literally, I remember when we moved in, I opened his freezer and it's like perfectly stacked Marie calendars in there. But I slowly taught him how to grill, and now he actually is better than I am at it because I just don't do it anymore. And it's none of these elaborate, takes me 2 hours to make some fancy meal. It's, 5 minutes of prep, 10 to 15 minutes of grilling, food's done in 15 to 20 minutes. And that's kind of just how it fell into place.
oh, nice. Okay. We got Amanda, your face is looking more lovely every time I see you. Love your hair that way too, from Dawn. And also, the antique action figure says, Amanda looks amazing.
Thank you. I love that handle, by the way.
And ABC says, you are both so inspiring. Amanda, your hair looks great. Did you go darker? Really nice color.
No, I do not dye my hair. Because of the scleroderma and stuff, I have very sensitive skin. I probably will, when I have gray hair, I'm going to have gray hair. I don't. I don't dye my hair. I think it's just probably the room I'm in, most likely, if it looks darker.
Okay. And Sher Gregory, I'm almost 65 and was using a walker a year ago. I've been keto, mostly carnivore for a year, and I'm down 80 pounds. Congratulations. I've been
Yay! That's
watching Amanda
amazing.
since the start. Love going through Atomic Habits.
I do too. It's
Yeah.
a wonderful
So
book.
that's a book you're going through now.
Yes. If you have not read it, it is probably I used to always recommend Jordan Peterson's The 12 Rules initially, but I actually think Atomic Habits is a better read out of the two of them to get started if you're going to change your habits in life and around eating and things like that. It's an amazing, amazing book.
Yeah. I've actually got it and I follow him. But I haven't sat down and actually read the book, and I
Pull
need
it
to.
out. Start reading a few pages a day.
Yeah. Okay. So greetings from Baltimore, Dave and Amanda. Thanks for coming in, Brian. Okay. And Alkaline 1988 says, I caught alive. Hey, Amanda. Awesome.
Hello.
And my metamorphosis, I admit I'm better at cleaning than cooking.
Hey, you do your strength, whatever that is.
Yeah. I think I'm probably better at the cleaning than the cooking thing too. Although I don't like cleaning. I'd rather cook, but I think I'm probably better at cleaning. Yeah. Julie's got a question. Who in your family or friends have started carnivore due to your example? I don't. Has anyone started from me? I don't know. I have to think about it. How about you, Amanda?
My mom does Carnivore, which my brother was doing carnivore before me. My brother-in-law has kind of gone on and off carnivore, switching because he's trying to get like super buff fit. He kind of switches to like a lower fat to like lean out. We actually, this is funny enough, when we were on the cruise, we had some friends Scott went to college with email me, and we hadn't talked to them in probably 5 or 6 years because we all just kind of moved apart. They are doing carnivore now. Scott just talked to them recently. So friends that we have been out of touch with found my channel and started doing it. So that's amazing. And I'm hoping my oldest sister will join me soon.
Nice. So I know of one friend of mine in Tokyo that started doing this. I interviewed him a while back, but I never actually asked him, did you start because you saw me doing it, or had you started already? I'm not sure. So, but apart from him, I don't think anyone's started. I think most people are kind of just nodding and backing away slowly, you know. That's the impression I get anyway. So, okay, we got another question here from I'd like to bear my testimony. Do you worry about not getting enough calories for a healthy metabolism when carnivore meals are so filling? Amanda, you want to take that one first?
Yeah. No, not remotely. And the reason is Dr. Sivas actually did a really good video. I don't know why I kept watching it, because at first I was like, I don't understand this. He was talking about how he pulled up to a stoplight in his Tesla and was parked next to, at the light, a muscle car. You know, the muscle cars, if you've seen them, they kind of like gyrate and vibrate because the engines are just so large. There's a lot of energy getting used there versus a Tesla. When you stop, boom, it's done. There's this huge misnomer about you want to have a high metabolism. But the question is, if you have a choice between two cars and one has been run ragged or one that's been gently used, which one do you want? The gently used. We don't want our bodies having this sky high metabolism all the time because it actually wears us down more. We want to have a actually lower level metabolism that quickly responds to demands. Okay. And it's been pushed for 30, 40 years. Eat more, make sure you're eating enough so your metabolism doesn't go down. But naturally it does. At 360 pounds, I had a very high metabolism. Why? Because literally moving from the couch to the bathroom, I would sweat profusely. That's having a high metabolism. My cells are having to produce and go through a lot of energy to move that mass around. So that's a long explanation, but if you want a better one, like more, Dr. Sivas's video, I wish I remember the name of it. It was excellent explaining, a Tesla cuts battery when you're sitting, but then you hit the gas and it just goes. And that's what we want. We want efficient metabolisms, not high metabolisms. There, I'm done.
I haven't seen that. I'm gonna have to seek it out. But just given the story, I reckon the best title for that video would be "I'm a Tesla," something like that. That would be awesome. From my side, look, I don't worry about calories. I don't worry about any of that kind of thing, simply because I'm feeling the best I ever have in my life, and I cannot believe that our bodies, which are so clever in trying to keep us alive, would respond, so what appears to be positively, but actually it would be a negative reaction to what is actually happening. So yeah, long way of saying it, but yeah, I don't worry about it at all.
I do want to point out, calories are actually a very poor metric. It isn't calorie in, calorie out. Calories are a heat unit only, except our body breaks what we are the energy we consume into chemical, heat, and mechanical energy. Calories only take in heat energy. It's not a good metric. To me, I tell people you can use calories if you want to understand like a gross roundabout of the amount of energy in a food, but it isn't a one for one. So the whole eating 2,000 calories or 1,200 calories, you're going to lose weight. It depends on the type of fat or the type of energy, whether it's fat or carbohydrates. There's a lot of factors that impact it. I'll let that go because I like this whole spiel about calories.
Yeah, I have trouble with the discussion on calories for the same reason. Like we have created a construct to make it really easy for us to talk about the value of food. However, that construct doesn't take into account the way our body is going to use that food.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100% agree with you, Amanda. So Kimberly J has sent us a super chat. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Enjoying your discussion. Both of you are so inspiring. I've been carnivore since February, and watching you helps keep me focused and on program, having great results. Thank you. That's really great to hear, Kimberly. And again, thank you very much for sending that through. Okay. Question for Amanda from Dawn. When was it you began not needing a walker anymore?
Oh, I want to say somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks. I'd actually have to go back and find the exact short that I did for it, but somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks. And when I say I didn't need it, it meant I could actually leave the house. I still had the back pain. I could just make it to the mailbox and back without having to use it. And it took a handful more months to actually be able to functionally go places and not remotely stress about having to sit down. Because I had gotten to the point, though, that I decided if I had to sit on the sidewalk, I was going to sit on the sidewalk. I was done with that stupid walker.
So just a follow up to that, Amanda, at that time, how were you feeling about not needing that anymore? Like, there's a lot of things that happen to us on carnivore because it's so gradual. Sometimes things happen that you just don't really notice, and then you look back and you go, hang on, like my life's completely changed from 6 months ago. But were you feeling like at the time, this is a big accomplishment and I think more is about to happen, or how was it for you?
Absolutely. Being 32 years old, having to use a rollator walker because it's the one with the brakes in the seat, having to take that places and, have to ask my husband to get it in and out of the car for me. That is some of the lowest points in my life because I knew I had got myself there. It's different if you're 32 having to use it because an injury, a disease, something like that. But I had literally eaten myself to needing that walker. And it's like, it's like this screening, look at me. Not only am I 360 pounds, but just the embarrassment that went with it. I still have that thing in my garage. I don't know if I'll ever get rid of it. I have it sitting in the corner, and it's just like this constant reminder of this is where I started. I started having to use this walker.
Yeah. Do you just look at that sometimes and like, I'm never going back there?
Yes, it is
Yeah.
a constant, like when I see it, reminder. It's near my paddleboard. So every time I get the paddleboard to put it in the car, I have to look at it. And it's just like never, never, ever, ever.
What a contrast that is as well. Right.
Oh, night and day.
Yeah. Nice. Very, very okay. Sorry. Here we go. HWMO Liberty is asking, I still have occasional bouts of emotional eating. How do you all handle that? I would say for me, kind of, it happens. It'll get less over time. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just get straight back on the wagon. How about you, Amanda?
I strongly suggest, if you have not read Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, the book helps understand why you, like what emotions are triggering it. It helps you get to the root cause, because with emotional eating, there is always something that triggers it. I used to have the smallest upset. Like my husband would go, I'm like, oh my God, we're going to be homeless. We're going to be living on the street. And all he did was huff. My threshold for stress was very, very low. And as I've done carnivore and through reading the book and doing kind of like introspection, my threshold is much, much, much higher, because even I'm 55 weeks almost on carnivore, I still experience it, but it's very infrequent now. And it's just constantly, when it happens, forgive yourself, but go back and look, what caused this? Was it something that I could have avoided? Like, I got upset. I was at a party. There was no food for me to eat. So then I ended up eating cake. Well, I mean, if that's the case, then you can go back and look and say, well, maybe I should have eaten before I went to have prevented that upset from happening. It's just a random example. But things like this, like always look at why it's happening, assess, try to make a plan for the future time it happens, and move forward.
Nice. Good advice. So Carnivorous Dude. Hey, Dave Mac, glad to be here. Hey, Edmund, thanks for coming in. And we've got another one from Alia. Hi, Amanda. Looks beautiful. Keep going, girl. Nice. Okay. And so just while I seek out some more questions here, I've got some starred. If you haven't smashed the like button yet, please do so. We've got 243 people across both channels in the live right now. And it would be really nice if we could get that number to, 500 by the end of the live stream. And we can do that with your help. If you haven't smashed like already, doing so will bring more people in. So thank you very much in advance. Okay. So what do we got here? So Brooke says, hey, how are you, Dave and Amanda? Thanks for coming in, Brooke. And we got M7974. Do you eat daily or have fasting periods of 36 hours or more? Thanks. Amanda, how about you? Have you done fasting?
I've done a few fasts. I eat daily. Yesterday, I ended up doing almost a 48-hour fast for different reasons, but I have done a couple 36. They can be fantastic. Personally, for someone that's starting out or a binge eater, I do not recommend them, because they make you rely solely on willpower. Literally by, I don't know, like a day and a half in, my brain becomes obsessed with food. And I hate that feeling. It usually by day 3, it goes away, but it's like for an almost entire day, I'm fighting with myself about food. With binge eaters, so worst thing you can do is put them in a position where they're feeling restricted, limited, tell them they can't have something, and they're going to want it more.
Yeah, I would kind of echo what Amanda said there. Like, if you've been on carnivore for a long time, fasting is a cool and interesting thing to do. I find I've done 2 48-hour fasts, and I really, I was a bit scared the first time because of the feelings that I felt, which I'll go into, but I ended up enjoying both of them. And the reason I felt a bit kind of scared the first time I did it is because it was a feeling that I had, especially on day 2, of almost like I was under the influence of some drug or something. It was like this euphoric feeling, strangely good, but strangely disconcerting at the same time. And, but I think it's just your body's responding to what's happening, and the reason I would echo what Amanda said about not doing it unless you're properly into carnivore, is on the second day, if you're doing, say, a 48-hour fast, on the second day, your body will basically wake you up when your body decides it's time to go and hunt for food. So you'll be flooded with, I think it's cortisol that's going through your body. And I think that's part of the euphoric feeling. 2 a.m. on day 2, you'll be wide awake. And like, you'll never have felt this awake in your life before. And it's your body telling you to go and find, okay, it's time to go and find food now because we're going to get hungry at some point. The thing that you will that could be a concern, though, is if you're not on carnivore already, that feeling might not be quite as easy to manage. Like if you're only eating cornflakes and Pop Tarts, a feeling of go and
Sounds
hunt for
terrible
food
to
might be a
eat.
bit dangerous at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would wait till you're fully into carnivore to try any extended fasting. So Crystal is asking, do you think stress can cause weight gain even if you're doing everything right?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. I strongly suggest if any of you weigh yourself daily and you're trying to lose weight, stop that like right now. I'm actually gone to monthly weighing, removing, we didn't take the dogs for a long walk and they're a little crazy. Removing that stress of like, how do I explain this? A gallon of water weighs 8.3 pounds. So our weight fluctuates day to day a lot, and it can just be how much water or fluids you've intaked. Removing that from your system or the other stressors trying to cut things down, it is vital. Having elevated levels of cortisol, which is what is released when we get stressed. Cortisol turns into glucose once it's done being used, just FYI. So stress can absolutely, absolutely stall or slow weight loss or gain. I mean,
Yeah, I can't really add anything to that. Yeah, I agree. Okay. So Coco Bear says, I want a refund on all the diets I've been on and give it to you, Amanda.
if I could have all the money back of all the products I've bought, all the like just little specialty bars, Weight Watchers, I have thousands. I probably have tens of thousands of dollars if I was being honest.
Oh, okay. So, hey, Tom, Frugal Preppers, Garage and Garden. Thank you for the super chat. Good to see you in. Tom, excuse me. Yeah, thank you very much, Tom. That's very kind of you and very nice of you to join. Okay, so Riley says, after 1 month on carnivore, why am I still lethargic? And how can I improve my energy levels? I think it's different for different people, how long it's going to take. What do you think, Amanda?
That's actually probably a good place to start is if you are a type 2 diabetic, and if you are a type 2 diabetic, are you an insulin user or are you an oral medication user? And how long have you been? Because if you've been a type 2 diabetic for a prolonged like years, it can take honestly a few months because you are so insulin resistant that your body to get fat adapted. But if you aren't a type 2 diabetic, you may not be eating enough fat. I would try just adding like a little butter, tallow, whatever, eat a little more bacon on your meals and see if that helps with the lethargy. Also, have you checked your ketones? I'm not a huge number checker, but it can be helpful to know if you're even in ketosis. And if you're not, definitely would be an insulin resistant thing happening for you.
Nice.
Oh, and electrolytes, salt, magnesium, potassium, low on those can make you lethargic too.
So, actually, that's a good point, Amanda. Like, do you use an electrolyte supplement every day? Like, do you use Element or something like
Yeah,
that?
I use Element daily. Sometimes I forget, but I absolutely will use it for sure the days that we're really active because I sweat a lot. Like I just honestly, I didn't realize this, but where you grew up actually kind of dictates your sweat glands. You grew up in a
Mm.
desert. I sweat a lot, and that is like the worst thing is being low on electrolytes and the fatigue and the exhaustion. Like you can't move one foot in front of the other. So I do use Element daily.
Okay, cool. All right. So, just tagging a few more questions here. Okay. Brian is asking, question for Amanda. That video is by Dr. Sivers, right?
Yes.
This doctor is really great. Do I have the right guy?
I'm thinking the video was something like I did a video on my channel and I'm terrible. I can't remember if it's a thumbnail or the title, but it's like, am I eating too much? And I reference that video that I watched with him. I think I might even have a link in my video in the description with the one to originally his because it was so interesting listening to it. And someone posted up a little bit ago, animals that have high metabolisms die sooner, and they do. Just like a car, I said, if you have a car that's been worn ragged in a same year, same one that's been babied, the worn ragged, the engine's going to fall out sooner. We don't want our engines to fall out sooner.
Yes. Yes. And the visual with that one. So hey, guys, we've got 278 people in the live stream across both channels. Do us a massive favor, get us to 300 in the next 5 minutes by smashing the like button if you haven't already. We're up to 286 now. Let's go. Can we do it? Come on. Okay. A little bit too excited about this, but anyway. April is asking, did either of you experience severe itchiness? I have no known allergies. I'm on week 3 of carnivore and itching like mad, especially my stomach. I didn't experience itchiness, and I had kind of the opposite. I had itchiness before because of eczema, and that went away. How about you, Amanda?
Oxalate dumping can cause the itchiness, especially because you're only 3 weeks in. That is a big one, is oxalate dumping. I had itchiness, but it was more because of a drug I had to take that caused it. So not the same thing, but look into oxalate dumping and there's things you can do. Some people just go through a few weeks of it and boom, they're done. It just depends on you and your body. I would put some hydrocortisone or calamine or something on it to not itch it though. That's just a suggestion there.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And Nana Debbie too. She's asking, Amanda, you are doing so great. How did you handle cravings?
I like using Redmond's salt crystal, salt rock. I forgot what they call it on their website. They do not sell it on Amazon, just FYI. You just suck on it and drink some water and it's like boom, cravings gone. I also like using, I don't have it, it's too far for me, but a bridge drink that comes from Dr. Sivas too, is you just have something you sip on all day long. That helps so much. Also, have like a go-to meal. My go-to meal still is chicken wings. I don't have it more than once a week because it is my like, oh, I want something like different. And I use that to get my different in. So it helps kind of abolish cravings because I'm getting something special once a week.
Nice. So, question about the salt rock. This is the first time I've heard about that. Is that just like this big rock? You just kind of like that?
So they've broken it up for you a little bit. They come in like chunks, like yay big. I don't have one up here, but they come in chunks like yay big, and you literally just suck on it. Some people lick it. I suck on it,
Uh-huh.
but you just literally like 3 or 4 times and your body tells you when you're done. Because at first it's like, oh, this is really nice. It's very salty. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, too much. You know when to
Too
stop.
much.
And there's something about this like injection of salt that you're sucking on it. It gets that oral motor. So, you know, when we eat, we get this sensation. Same thing with smokers. It satiates that oral motor fixation plus the salt plus the water. It's amazing. Try it. That's something I didn't have until maybe 5 months ago. I wish I had it in the beginning because man, it would have helped so much. And it's only like $10 for a bag, and that stuff's gonna last you a couple years probably.
Oh, nice. I've still got to try Redmond's myself. I found that I can order it from even from Japan on Amazon, so I'm going to get some.
Yeah, I don't know if they sell it on Amazon, but Redmond has a barbecue rub, no sugar. I absolutely adore it because it's really hard, even the dry rubs, to get barbecue seasonings. It is my favorite. I actually put it in my burgers.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. So Matthew, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Matthew is asking, how much water do you drink a day to help counteract the amount of coffee you drink? Well, it's kind of balanced. No, it's not really. So I probably drink around 4 or 5 liters of water a day. So I'm not sure. Do you know what that is in how do you measure water in the States, Amanda?
Gallons.
Okay, 4 liters to gallons. So I drink about 1 gallon of water a day. Yeah. So 1 or just over 1 gallon of water a day.
Yeah.
And I'm probably drinking about half a gallon of coffee, maybe a quarter of a gallon of coffee or something a day. Yeah.
So it's a lot of coffee.
And it's strong. And it's strong. So that's why, A, I do need to give it up at some point, and B, why it's so difficult to give up, I think, because, I've been having it for so long. But yeah.
Yeah.
Do
You know,
you,
my
do you
husband
do
drinks
coffee
a
still?
lot too.
Oh. You don't do coffee?
I do 1 cup, but my husband
Ah.
drinks, we make like a 12-cup pot. I drink one of the 12 cups. He drinks the rest. Funny enough, he drinks a lot more water than me. It must just be a coffee drinker thing.
Hmm. Yeah, I think. And actually, speaking of the water, do you drink still or sparkling water?
Both.
Both. What's your preference of the two?
Um, Depends on what I'm doing. If I've been
Ah.
working like paddleboarding or we've been out sweating, straight up plain water, like flat water, I just gulp that stuff down. The seltzer water is too bubbly to drink really quickly. Um, but see, I like to use the unsweet, no artificial sweetener. Sometimes the flavored, like naturally flavored seltzer water. That's one of my favorites because, granted, it has natural flavorings in it, but it's got no sugar or
Mm.
artificial sweeteners in it. That's like my treat kind of thing because I used to love love apple juice, and that kind of replaced it.
Oh, nice. Nice. So Aid is asking, what doesn't improve on carnivore? That's a good question.
Your height, I can tell you
Yes,
that.
your height. Yes.
That's about the only thing that comes off the top of my head is your height will not
Yeah.
change with carnivore.
Yeah. Um, yeah. That one's got me stumped. That's a trick question. You've stumped me. Okay, Dawn says, I'm 60 and had a rollator walker until the brake broke. Now, since I've been using a cane due to drop foot from a mini stroke I had 1.5 years ago. I'm sorry to hear about the mini stroke and the consequent drop foot, Dawn. And I guess, how long have you been carnivore? Are you carnivore, Dawn? So, like, you must be doing a little better if you're using the cane rather than the walker, right?
two things I have to say to that. One,
Hmm.
I hope if you are using the cane, one, you're safe, but also I hope you are using an AFO and ankle foot orthosis to compensate for that foot drop you're experiencing. Actually, it was three things. The third thing is I do hope you're doing some toe and foot raises to help strengthen that anterior tib. Because if you had a mini stroke, then you can absolutely get some strengthening back in that muscle to help pick your feet up when you walk.
Oh, that's good advice. That's something I need to think about too.
It does not actually. So the rule of thumb is usually within the first 6 months to 2 years, you're going to get back most of what you're going to get from a stroke. However, I wholeheartedly disagree with that. You might get a large portion back in that narrower window, but I've had patients that have been old 10-year-old stroke patients that it took a lot of effort, but we got walking again with help, but they were, wheelchair bound until then. Just practice,
Wow.
repeat practice.
It really is, and it's that perseverance, because I guess it's so frustrating, right? Because
Oh
it
my
takes
gosh.
so long. Yeah. So Matthew is asking, Amanda, how much coffee do you consume a day? So 1 cup.
Sometimes maybe on the weekend I might do 2, but that's it. I have it as a morning kind of thing, which I know you probably do too, Dave, but my husband drinks it all day. Like 8 o'clock at night, oh, let me go get a cup of coffee. I'm like, whew. I have coffee after noon. It's like my eyeballs are peeled open all night.
Yeah. I wish I was like that, like the eyeballs are peeled open all night. Like, yeah, I'm the same as Scott. I can't I'm just
All
drinking
day
it
coffee
all the
drinker.
time. Yeah. Okay. Bella, thank you for the super chat. Amanda, it's your fault. I'm now hooked on AHA. It has helped me break my soda and drinking addiction. Do you have any mocktail favorites? So what's AHA?
It's just pronounced AHA. It's
Uh-huh.
Coca-Cola, I think owns. I think Coke owns the brand. It's just flavored seltzer water, no sugar, no artificial sweeteners in it. It's literally just bubbly water. My favorite that they make is it has black tea in it. Is the Fuji apple. Oh my gosh, it's because it replaced my apple juice cravings. The Fuji apple is my favorite, and surprisingly, is it AHA? Yeah, it is. It's sitting right here. Pineapple passion fruit. It's like I can't reach it, but it's over there.
Oh, nice.
I'll show you because I try to drink just plain water most of the time, but boom. So it just
Oh,
looks like soda,
wow.
but it's literally just seltzer water with some natural flavoring in it. And yeah, because I'm not an artificial sweetener kind of girl very often.
Nice. So speaking of water, Carnivorous Dude says Gerolsteiner. That one, Gerolsteiner is pretty good for the mineral content, right? So that's the German one. We can even get that one in Japan. Okay, so what do we got here? Azamina Sulijic says, "Hi Amanda, I wish you could go over some facts regarding why do we hurt all over when we are overweight. I have horrible low back pain, feet hurt, knees. Sometimes I cannot even pinpoint where I hurt."
There's a trillion different reasons. I mean, the main one with obesity is the inflammation that's caused by the excess weight. Our joints are only meant to hold a certain weight range, right? Like my joints are probably only meant to hold like 120 to 150 pounds. Like just that's what it is. It's not meant to hold where I was at 360 pounds. Our bones have to thicken, but that does not change the like meniscus. It's the cushion in our knees that doesn't change. The bones might get thicker to hold the weight, but nothing else does. As far as the back pain, specifically people who have abdominal weight in the stomach and stuff, what happens is our spine at our neck has like a curve like this, and then in our low back, a curve like this. When you have, it's called a lordotic curve, that curve here, and then you put all this weight in the front, it pulls that curve more straight and it starts compressing the discs in the spine, which is why it hurts. And sometimes why you can't actually pinpoint why it's hurting, because you're having all the nerves and the discs in the spinal cord area being compressed. Low back pain is a very, very common thing for people who are obese and morbidly obese, specifically because there's so much weight on the front, pulling their spine out of alignment. Losing weight, let me tell you, losing weight was the biggest impact on my low back pain. I have some compressed discs, which are a different story. So like if I lay flat on the hard surface, I have to have Scott roll me over to my side. But that's a different story because the discs are kind of slipping out. But getting the weight off the spine, the between each vertebrae, I call it's our jelly donut. We have like these jelly donuts between each vertebrae, our discs are. And when they get compressed unevenly, they start squishing portions of it. And eventually, if they get too compressed, you can squish the jelly out, which you don't want. And same thing with feet, ankles, knees. It puts a strain on all the joints. Our joints are not meant to have all this extra weight. Sometimes even 30 pounds extra. If you're just tend to be like my middle sister, she can tolerate very little weight gain before she actually starts having joint pain.
Wow.
Hopefully that helped. And not too much.
Thank you, Amanda. So Edmund is saying, smash up the likes, people. Get out of the chat and hit the like and then come back in. The more likes, the more views. Yes. Thank you very much for the reminder, Edmund. And here we go. That
Thank
Dr.
you.
Sowers episode 297, How to Change Your Metabolism. Thank you,
Watch it. It's super interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so where are we? Claire says, Dave, don't give up coffee. Just cut back. Be sure to drink coffee only in the morning, as it not only disrupts sleep, but affects the quality of sleep. Yeah, I have to get much better at that, definitely.
Or switch maybe to decaf later in the day.
Yeah, that's another good option, yeah. Okay, so I've already gone through that one. Okay. April says, getting occasional body cramps. Is it most likely an electrolyte issue, or should I drink more water? My experience is if I'm getting leg cramps, having that's the signal to me that I need to have some more salt. So I would think probably. Amanda, what's your take on that?
I agree. It can also be potassium. Our muscles work on what's called sodium potassium pumps. They transfer it in and out of the muscles to get things to work. Salt usually is one of them, but potassium, if you take salt and that doesn't help, it's normally then going to be a little bit low potassium.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay. So this sounds like a marriage proposal or something from the start. What does this say? Prepared 2020. This may sound crazy. I've been on Carnivore for about 4 weeks, but best thing I've ever done. But sometimes I eat and I get extra hot some days. Any ideas? Getting extra hot.
Like you're flushing? I'm assuming that's kind of what you mean, is like you get the facial flush and things like that. That can just be your metabolism. And honestly, it can be partially genetic, because I experienced that. I actually talked to Dr. Barry about this, and he said there is nothing abnormal about that. Some people just tend to flush slightly with eating versus others, but he said it's nothing to be concerned about.
Oh, nice.
Unless blood sugars will make you do it. If you have out of whack blood sugars, that's a different kind of thing. You do get flushed, but there's more else going on than just that.
Okay. Mindy, what does butter taste like in tea or coffee? That's a good question. I still haven't tried this. Amanda, do you do that?
I haven't tried it in tea. In coffee, it's very good. However, fair warning, you must use a blender or a frother to mix the butter to emulsify it with the coffee, or you get like this really gross just butter layer at the top of the coffee and it's nasty. Use a blender, use a frother, and it forces the fat and the water molecules to bind. I can drink it just as well as I can heavy cream, honestly. But again, I've never put it in tea. I'd rather just drink my herbal tea straight up, nothing.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I can't imagine putting butter. Like butter in coffee sounds quite nice, but yeah, butter in peppermint tea or something doesn't sound.
The butter takes the bitterness away from the coffee is what it does. It's not as necessarily like creamy as like heavy cream, but I don't like bitter coffee. you drink dark
Mm,
coffee.
mm,
So you must not mind the bitterness. But those who
yeah.
don't like the bitter and can't do
Mm,
dairy stuff, ghee or butter would work.
yeah. Nice. So we've got 287 people across the channels. Can we
Nice.
try and get to 300? We only need 13 more people. Smash like, guys. Please smash like, and that'll bring people in. 289. Okay, nice. Okay, Janet is asking, I thought sleep was supposed to improve, but I'm getting less sleep. Instead of a little more than 6 hours, down to 4.5. I wake to pee and I can't go back to sleep. No electronics or lights. Interesting. I wonder. My first question about that would be: after that shorter amount of sleep, are you still feeling the same as you would after the 6 hours sleep before?
Mm.
Because if the quality is, the quality might be going up, but you might be requiring less sleep. I'm not sure. What's your thoughts, Amanda?
I would be curious if you are going to sleep and waking up at the same time. I know you said you're going to the bathroom and then you can't go back to sleep, but the days that you can, are you pretty consistently getting up at the same time? Are you having anything with caffeine? Are you eating close to bedtime? Because that's a no-no. Do not eat close to bedtime. Even if it is meat, do not eat near bedtime. Can you limit your water intake right before bed to cut out having to wake up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night? Those are all suggestions that I have.
Mm. Okay, Anna. Online carnivores tend to use butter as a quick backup solution to meet their daily goal. What do you each use? Okay, Amanda, you want to go first?
I have no daily goal. That's my first answer. But second is we cook in tallow, bacon grease, and I add butter. Butter is this is TMI, but butter is not meant to cook high temperatures in. Please do not use butter to cook things in the pan. Its smoke point is very low and it becomes carcinogenic when you burn it. And it's like 290. I can't remember exactly the temperature, but it's not what you're searing your meat at. So I use those three things to up my fat intake.
So for me, a quick backup solution. I don't have any backup solutions. I've got no goals. My goal is just to not fall back to eating like a regular Westerner anymore. But yeah, I've got no backups. Like, and it's just I feel comfortable not having any backups to anything because I've been eating, it's more than 13 months now, one meal a day, and it's just I never feel hungry. I can't even remember what the feeling of hunger is like, to be honest. Or that feeling, I mean, I don't know. It's almost artificial hunger that you feel when you're not on a carnivore diet, though, right? It's like it's processed food induced hunger. It's like a bloat and then an emptiness or something like that. And so I
That's
haven't felt
exactly
that.
it.
Yeah. It's like, and it happens so fast, right? You go from feeling super uncomfortable because you can't shut your pants to being super uncomfortable because, you can shut them, but then there's nothing filling you up.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually well said.
So we've got another. Thank you for all the super chats, Bella. Amanda, are you still sensitive to cinnamon?
Yes, there's actually two types of cinnamon. The Ceylon cinnamon, I learned this actually because one of my subscribers pointed this out. The Ceylon cinnamon, I do just fine with. The other cinnamon, whatever, is just like normal cinnamon at the grocery store, whatever they're using. I still have a skin reaction and a rash from that. But the Ceylon, it's Ceylon. I'm probably saying it wrong, but I have no problems with that cinnamon.
Nice. Okay, so what do we got? Anna is asking, just curious, I guess element gives me diarrhea. I've to use half a packet with 24 ounces of water every other day. Do you guys have this problem? I've tried different ones. I've only tried Element once, didn't give me any diarrhea. How about you, Amanda?
If you are using with stevia, which is what they use to sweeten it, a side effect can be diarrhea. Have you used the unflavored? That is what I would strongly suggest is if you are having diarrhea, you may be one of those people that can't tolerate stevia.
That's true. I was, yeah, the one I tried was the unsweetened one. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about the stevia. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Gabrielle Papa says, how do you deal with occasional meat aversions? Amanda.
I fast. I decided a long time ago, the first time this happened when I started, if I was truly hungry, I would not complain about whatever was put on the plate in front of me. And then I just realized I fasted for 48 hours and buddy, that steak tasted delicious when I ate it 2 days later. So fasting is my go-to.
Okay. For me, I can't imagine ever having a meat aversion unless chicken is the only meat available. But or turkey, because that's
Oh,
super dry, right? But yeah, I can't imagine. But I think if I did, I would probably handle it the same way as Amanda would. I would just fast.
mhm.
Yeah.
Because you'll know, like you fast, you might even fast for like 10 hours, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm so hungry. That you'll know when it hits you because it's like, oh, a burger sounds good. Oh my gosh, a steak sounds good. And then boom, it's over with.
Yeah, and that's what Dr. Chafee says as well. Like once it stops tasting good, that means that you don't need to eat. And then, when it starts tasting good again, that's because, you need to eat. Yeah. I always look at the example, I mean, maybe dogs are not the best example of this, but like cats, you could put a lot of food down for a cat, but it's not going to eat it, right? It's going to eat what it needs to feel comfortable, and then it's going to leave the rest and either come back to it later or just go, later on, go, hey, you need to give me some new food. This stuff's getting old, as cats do. Okay, looking for more questions. Okay, here we go. M7974 is asking, Dave, what do you typically eat each day? Good question. I eat once. Weekdays, I eat about 7 a.m. And I have 10 eggs scrambled up, cooked in lard. And I'm using lard because I can't get my hands on beef tallow at the moment. Otherwise, I'd be using beef tallow. And I also put in just over a pound of ground beef into that. So I kind of cook up the scrambled eggs, put that as my base, and just cover that with ground beef, and that does me all day. And I can eat. I've been eating that way basically. It hasn't been a full 13 months, I think, that I've been eating exactly that way, but it's probably been on 12 months now that I've been eating that every single day. And it's for someone that doesn't know carnivore, that would probably sound like, how can you do that? That's insane. But for someone on carnivore, it probably doesn't sound as abnormal, because it's like, beef is beef, it's always going to taste good when you're hungry.
Yep. And by the way, Dave, make your own
Yeah.
tallow. You can just go to the butcher, ask them for the beef fat trimmings, render it down yourself. That's what we do. It's cheaper, and then you don't have to worry about
I
getting it from them.
actually, you've got a video on that, right?
Mhm.
I haven't
Yep.
that video I haven't
Simple.
watched, but I can watch that and just go step by step. See, this is the thing, guys, as well. You're able to watch people who are doing this, living this as part of their daily life. There's a reference for everything out there. So yeah, I'll give that a try. Thanks for that, Amanda. So Carnivore for Life, Dave and Amanda, sneaky not questions. Sorry, grateful you guys. You two so helped me in my first year on Carnivore. Just finished first ever YouTube podcast on Carnivore with Kerry from Homestead How. Oh, I'll have to check it out. Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for your message. And next up is Brooke. I come from a family of 6 kids. When I was younger, we ate at cheap all-you-can-eat buffets my parents and grandparents took us to. It is not a good idea for kids. Teaches bad
Mm-mm.
habits. Yeah, I've been there, done that too. Yeah, that
Oh
was
yeah,
my upbringing. Sizzler, McDonald's.
Sizzlers.
Do you
Yes.
you have Sizzler in the States, right?
Yep. Yep. I remember
Yeah.
going there all the time, having the dinosaur shaped chicken nuggets.
Yeah. Did you have the big bread, the toast thing at Sizzler? No?
Oh, I just remember the dinosaur chicken nuggets. I really don't remember much else.
So my
Because I
favorite
remember
thing
I
about
grew up
Sizzler.
in the late 90s. Sizzler kind of
Okay.
went out of business later on that then.
Ah, okay. Oh, got it. Yeah, the for me, like going to Sizzler, the best thing about that experience was the big toast thing that they gave everyone when you went in, but that might have been an Australian thing. Yeah. Um, but yes, the it teaches really bad habits.
For sure.
And the thing is, parents are always trying to do the best they can, right? They most parents are oblivious because everyone else is doing it, so it's normal, you know. So it's unfortunate, but that's another reason that it's important for us to just continue talking about this.
Oh yes.
Mm. Okay, so we got more questions coming. Yes, we got more questions. Of course, we have. Alkaline, uh, my eyesight's getting really bad today. 1988 says, I have been ketovore since February, went carnivore June 1. I feel great losing weight, but my psoriasis is still awful. I'm probably 50% covered right now. Any ideas what else I can do? No meds. Good question. Um, I'm not sure. What are your thoughts on that, Amanda?
Do carnivore.
Mm.
The vegetables you are still consuming for your psoriasis, you might just be one of the unlucky ones like myself who I can tolerate spices, like little spices, but veggies themselves cause issues for me. Carnivore. And if carnivore doesn't fix it, then I would strongly suggest trying at least 60 days of the lion diet. That is to the nines doing it because it's only ruminant, salt water. But I would switch from ketovore to carnivore, cut out all the veggies. You could try keeping spices in if you're using them, but if I do it for at least 30 days before you jump to change anything. And if you're still having issues, drop the spices. Still having issues 30 days later, drop the dairy if you're doing that. And you just have to cycle through every 30 days, dropping stuff until you see an improvement for yourself.
Hmm. So, Mindy is asking, how do I find both of you on YouTube? What are your usernames? Okay, so Amanda, did you want to share yours?
It's just at carnivorous me one.
Okay, and mine, my channel name is No Carb Life, but the username is at Zero Carb. Okay, so thanks for that, Mindy. And P Raw I'm all bike is asking, in your opinion, should Salt Lake Redmond be considered as a supplement? Interesting. What do you think, Amanda? Is it a supplement?
I mean, I guess it's your definition of a supplement. Is it something external you're supplementing your diet with? Yes.
Hmm.
But at the same time, because the Redmonds, like the rocks and even the ground salts, have minerals and stuff in them that are good for us. I don't really consider it. It's just something that we need because without salt, because I read a tweet the other day by, I don't know, some carnivore person that said they opted for no salt carnivore. Our body runs with salt. As I said before, it's called a sodium potassium pump. And that's actually what makes our heart pump, the smooth muscle and the striated. So we need salt. So I don't consider it a supplement because it's something that we just absolutely need.
Good point. So I think comment of the day coming up here. So Arthur is saying, I once heard one of the carnivore doctors say our species was smart enough to actually create its own food and dumb enough to actually eat it. That's awesome.
sad, but very true.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So, I before I have to start getting ready for work, I've got about another 20 minutes. Are you good for 20 minutes more,
Yeah,
Amanda?
that's fun.
Awesome. So, guys, we've got about 20 minutes that we can take more questions. So, if you've got any questions at all, please punch them in and we'll get to them. Okay. So, my metamorphosis says I started low carb in 2015, worked down to carnivore in December 2022. Interesting. So, the interesting question for you, Amanda. What was your first experience with low carb or keto?
Oh gosh, teenager. I did Atkins. I remember
Ah.
going to like Cracker Barrel and getting bacon and hey, they're getting antsy because they're wanting their long walk. Girls, Atkins was like my first introduction to it. Tell the dog daddy to come get them.
So what are you doing there? So mine was also with
Dogs
Atkins.
are being really bad. Can you come get them? Bye.
My first experience was with Atkins in 2000, the 23 years ago, and I had success on it, but yeah, I think back in 2000, Atkins was kind of what looked at, I guess, the way Carnivore is looked at now. Did you do okay on Atkins? Was it easy to stick to for you?
No, because I was eating pepperoni with cheese microwaved in the, cheese on it microwaved. I was very, very processed. And then, all these like low carb bars and stuff. And I didn't feel good from it. But now that I look back on it, I was eating a lot of processed low carb foods too.
Yeah. And Aid is saying Ansel Keys, the AHA and USDA destroyed Atkins' life and reputation. Yeah,
a common comment people say to me all the time is like, Dr. Atkins died from having a heart attack. And no, he didn't. He actually fell and got a traumatic brain injury and died from that. But literally, that's what people think is Atkins died from having a heart attack because of the Atkins diet. It's like, no, he literally slipped on ice and hit his head. That's what killed him.
Yeah. I remember when that happened and like listening to talk radio the day it happened, and people were like, you see, that's what happens when you eat bacon and eggs. And it's like, come on. Yeah. So Mike is asking, I normally do OMAD, but I'm planning on skipping my meal tomorrow and not eat till Saturday. So 2-day fast. Any advice on how to push through? Drink less water and make sure you have salt. I would say more water. And for me also, that's where my coffee consumption increases as well. Just because that's, Amanda, you were talking about the kind of the motor thing with the smoking or whatever. Yeah. So I think the coffee is one of those things for me with it like that too. How about you, Amanda? Any advice?
Yeah, drink more water, not less. The water will make your stomach and intestines feel like they're fuller, so those hunger pains will be diminished immensely. If you don't drink water, you're going to suffer through that. Plus, I'm going to be honest, take my opinion or leave it. Dry fasting is just absolutely ridiculous. We need salt and we need water for our bodies to function. And the problem with the dry fast is the second you intake that water, boom, you've gained all the weight back, because a lot of it is water and we want water in our bodies. So please drink more water.
And just an important update. We've just passed 300 people in the stream right now. Right now, 303 people live. 304.
It's going to go down to like 200 people are mad about the The dry fasting comment.
Don't say that about my dry fasting. Actually, it has just dropped below 300. So I I haven't done any reading on this dry fasting, but I will say it just sounds painful to me. Just
There's no reason
yeah.
behind it. There's literally no.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Brooke
Brooke,
said dry fasting can be risky for some. It is. It is very, very risky.
so it's more fat ad. How to have a bowel movement with no constipation on only meat. Yeah. Fat, more fat, I
Fat
guess.
water.
Yeah, and water. Yes, good point. Yeah, I my experience on carnivore is it tends to go the opposite way. You're more likely to go the opposite way than have constipation. Torrentially so.
I get constipation if I don't have enough water, period.
Okay.
Not enough fat or not enough water. Because days I'm like, oh, I had 1 cup of water. Then 2 days later, I'm like, oh, God, I didn't drink enough again.
Snowy Skylar. I have severe histamine sensitivity genetic and can only tolerate chicken because of the high histamine in red meat. I've just been eating chicken salt water for over 2 years. Any help? I'm interested. How are you doing on that? Like you feeling good? I mean, you must be if you've been on that way 2 years. I don't know. Any help, Amanda? Any thoughts?
Have you tried going to an actual farm and getting fresh beef? Because the histamine issue with beef tends to be older or aged beef. Things in the grocery store, they're going to be older and aged just naturally from the process. I would suggest if you haven't, trying going directly to a farm and seeing if you can get fresh beef and try that. And then also, have you tried things like deer and elk? They tend to have less histamine issues too.
Because is that not
Horse
the
meat
issue?
too, by the way.
Okay. Have you ever had horse?
I had a lady I interviewed one time that her child had such histamine issues. They lived in Sweden, I think. He could only eat fresh horse meat. Like it could be more than a week old horse meat. And I love horses. I'm not like advocating that, but it's just throwing it out there.
You love horses, but not in that way. Yeah. Not that you want them on your dinner plate. Yeah, the histamine and reaction and like from aged beef, is that not what Michaela Peterson gets as well? Is that she can't have aged beef, something like that?
I am not sure with her and aged beef. I'm not quite sure, but I know it is a common thing when people like dry age or just older beef from the store, it can cause issues.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Minnie says, can either of you recommend the best type of before pictures one should take and how often when wanting to document weight loss on carnivore? What are your thoughts on this, Amanda?
Depends on how like personal you want to get, but I'd like full body once a month, full body, like bathing suit or at least shorts and sports bra, something. And then just not shy away from having pictures taken of you, just you going out and doing things, because you'll want to actually look back on those.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, I would just say take as many as you can. Because right now you'd be thinking, oh, I don't want to do it, or I don't like looking at myself, or whatever it happens to be. But once you're 6 months down the road or 12 months down the road, you will want to go back and see as many pictures as you can, Yeah. Okie dokie. So, Mike, since not many questions, I will just keep dropping mine. Do we know if there is a digestive delay between how much fat we eat and when we can assess if it was too much to absorb? I'll go first and I'll say I don't think there's much of a delay at all. It's within my experience is within maybe an hour to 2 hours. Amanda, what's your feeling?
Yes. And the thing is the symptoms can be different. Like nausea and stuff can be having too much fat, but like if you're going to have diarrhea, you're going to know quite quickly. The stomach and intestines are going to let you know.
Snowy Skylar, what about alpha-gal, MCAS, tick bite allergy? I live in northern Australia. I haven't done any reading about any of these things. Do you know anything about these?
So alpha-gal pretty much makes you have a reaction to beef and ruminant animals. If I'm remembering correctly, there's only a handful of quote unquote types of meats that can be consumed. I believe chicken is one of them. There isn't, I don't know tons about alpha-gal other than it can go away on its own with time. And the best thing is not to aggravate it by eating beef. I mean, it's a terrible thing to deal with, but you definitely don't want to inflame it by consuming things that are going to trigger it.
Okay, so Edmund is asking, what do you order at McDonald's? So interesting. Do you ever find yourself at McDonald's, Amanda?
I don't eat
Never?
fast food at all. No.
Okay.
I mean,
So
I would suggest a patty with cheese maybe if you're going to do that, but
yeah,
I would rather just not eat than eat McDonald's.
Well, because of where I work, it's kind of a remote area. I did a McDonald's diet for about 2 weeks, and basically I was able to survive on just McDonald's patties. And that would help kickstart me. And I felt pretty comfortable just eating the patties because I worked there as a kid, and I know that on the patties at least they don't have any seed oils. It just cooks in its own fat. So the burgers are a bit different in Japan. But if I was in the States, and you can't order just patties in Japan, but if I was in the States, I would be just ordering quarter pounder patties. The biggest one I could get, I would just go in there and say, give us 4 quarter pounder patties or something like that. And go with that. But yeah, in Japan, you actually have to go through the process of ordering a grill. You have to say, I want this burger, no sauces, no cheese, no this, no that, no pickles, no whatever. Then you have to throw the bread away, and then then eat the patties from there. But hopefully that gets a little bit more flexible. Although outside of that 2 weeks at the beginning, I haven't done any McDonald's. Okay, so Monica says, does eating fat make you fat, and can you still lose weight? Eating fat does not make you fat. Amanda, anything to add?
I've lost over 121 pounds. In 11 days, we'll figure out how much I've lost this past month. But no, fat does not make you fat. The fat you consume is not the fat that's on our body. It is not the same. And that's the whole low fat push is if you eat fat, you're going to get fat. That's not remotely true. What has made, especially Americans, so fat is we eat fat and a crap ton of carbohydrates and sugar. One way to guarantee fast gaining, eat both of those together. Your body will prioritize breaking the carbohydrates and sugars down, and it will store all the fat. You have no carbs and no sugars, your body will utilize the use of the fat you consumed for energy. Yes, if you consume, if I ate 3 ribeyes at one time, yes, I would put some fat on because that's a lot of energy to eat at once. But I'd like to see someone trying to eat that many ribeyes, other than Sean Baker, because I think he probably could. But most normal people, I don't think, can eat that much.
So my take on this kind of thing is that fat making you fat is one of those awesome marketing ideas, really, it's probably at some point they thought maybe this is a problem. When they were doing food science at some point, researchers thought maybe this is what happens. But, food companies came along, and food companies are making their cornflakes or whatever their processed foods are, and think, hang on a second, we can latch onto this. And if we just go along with this, this is free, basically free silent marketing for us, right? So if the scientists are kind of saying maybe fat makes you fat, and if we start saying fat free on our products, we're home and hosed, like the public's just going to naturally buy our stuff. And I'm not even sure that they would have been thinking, but we know it's different or ha 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 or anything like that. It would have just been like, we can latch onto something to make money.
Yeah.
And so they did. And of course, it's a simple thing to hold in your head, regardless, what level of knowledge you have about food, right? So fat makes you fat. It's the same as saturated fat makes you bad. That's an easy concept. Saturated fat is bad. It's an easy concept to think about because, you pour saturated fat down the sink, what's going to happen? Your sink's going to get blocked when it solidifies, right? And so people see that and they go, hang on, so that's probably what's happening in my body. When I put that into my body, it's just going solid and the blood can't get through my blood veins. And what's going to happen? As if, consuming a carrot or a sausage, it's also going to get stuck in your blood vessels.
Lettuce is the
Um,
worst for clogging up garbage disposals. Can't tell you how many times I've had to clean a garbage disposal out because of putting lettuce in there. So,
Oh, wow. But yeah, so I think, yeah, it's just one of those things that people can kind of go, oh, that seems right. And then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
yeah.
Yeah. So we've been on for about an hour and a half now. And unfortunately, I'm going to actually have to go and get ready for work. So, Amanda, any last words?
Just keep on tracking on. And the biggest thing I always, always suggest is if you've fallen, don't give up. Just move forward. The change happens with tiny baby steps, and that's what matters, the small steps in between.
Hmm. And yeah, I just like to say, look, thank you to everyone. Amanda and I both started Carnivore around the same time.
Mhm.
And I'm sure neither of us, 12, 13, 14 months ago, would have thought that we could, in a year's time, we'd be able to press go live on a piece of software and immediately have 300 people pop in and say hello and start asking us questions. So, yeah, thank you all so much. And have a wonderful weekend coming up. And we will talk to you soon. Cheers,
Bye,
guys.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.